Leslie here from Message in a Fold. I have a lot of projects going and they will be appearing in a little while, but I thought maybe you'd like to know what happened. Well, October 25th, about 5:30 in the morning, I was in the kitchen. The coffee had just finished brewing, and I was pouring a cup of coffee for myself. My husband was in his little windowless bathroom, and the power went out in the kitchen all the way to the front of the house. So my poor husband was in total darkness. And I'm looking around in the kitchen, what in the world is happening? I walked into the living room and my computer was on, and everything from the end of the kitchen to the end of the house, the power was all on. It was just from one part of the house to the front that it was off. So Joe opens up the bathroom door and says, "Hey, did you turn the lights off?" And so I said, "No, there was some kind of crazy power outage." So I had to go back and tell him that part of the house was on and his side was off. And of course, he says to me, "Why?" Yeah, like I would know. So I just told him to finish what he's doing and come out and find out what the problem is. It was a little chilly, but it wasn't cold. Thank goodness it was not in February when the temperatures are below freezing. Oh, thank goodness. It was just the nightly temperatures were down in the 40s and it was getting a little chilly. That power outage knocked out our heater, a relay in our heater. A couple of hours later, the power all comes back on, just like there's no problem. And that's when I found out that there was a problem in the heater itself. So Joe was going down by Houston, Texas. He had to leave to go to work. And so he left just after the power started to come up. And and then through my neighbor, I had to call my neighbor and have him come over and find out what was the matter with our furnace. I mean, I thought, good heavens, this is going to cost a whole lot of money, hundreds of dollars to replace a furnace. And he checked it out and looked at it, and it was a small relay. Well, none of the heating and electrical stores in Oklahoma City or the surrounding areas, none of them carried the little relay that I needed. So he found a place and ordered it online. My neighbor did. October 25th, I think, was a Sunday morning. So it was going to be the following Saturday before this thing arrived. But the rest of my house was working fine. I started having some trouble with my computer, that it would just kind of act a little weird. I'd be doing something like looking at a YouTube video or something, watching one of you guys' YouTube videos, and then the whole thing would just crash and it would just disappear. Things like that don't happen very often on my Mac, but when they do, then it doesn't send me into a panic, but what? So things started disappearing, crashing. The program just stopped and closed, and I was out to my desktop thing. And that happened a lot. It really got frequent. So during that week, I could work on the computer and I could do things. And I was able to get my videos for the following week already up and loaded to YouTube. And then Thursday, whatever day that was, 25. Yeah, October 29th. the part for my heater came in. My neighbor came over, installed it, and my heater was working great. The next morning, Saturday morning, October 30th, the same thing. The power just totally went out from one part in our kitchen to the front of the house was dead. No power at all. From a portion in the kitchen all the way to the back, I had power. So I called my neighbor, and he came over, and he had these electric probe tool things, whatever. Went to the breaker box. Now, I don't understand any of this electrical stuff, so you might have to get somebody to explain it to you, because I don't know. Excuse me. My neighbor took the cover off of our breaker box and poked his, what did he call it? A fluke. Poked his little prongy things in there. And now I wouldn't do that. I would not be brave enough. No, you can't get me to poke anything in where there's electricity. I mean, other than a plug that goes into a wall outlet. But in a breaker box, forget it. Because it's going to spark, it's going to make me howl, and I will be absolutely positive I'm going to get shocked or electrocuted or something. But he's just standing there poking things in, saying, no. Well, that's odd. And so he finds out that to the main line that comes into our house, there's 2 legs. I don't know. One leg had 45 volts and the other leg had 122. They're supposed to be equal. And so he said, well, it's your main breaker. So I had to go find an electrical outlet that had the main breaker. So I go by it. It's raining hard. I go get the breaker. By the time I get home, the power's all up and everything is fine. So I called my electric company and I told them of the freaky happenings at my house. They sent somebody out later that afternoon, about 4 o'clock, and the man pulled the meter, and again, this is all above my head, the prongs behind the meter that fit into the box that helps get the power to your house. I don't know how it works. Anyway, a couple of the prongs were loose, or they were corroded, or anyway, they weren't getting the proper connection. And so he put a new thing on and put a new meter on and said everything was fine. And our lights were brighter than they had ever been in all the 13, 14 years we've lived in this house. The lights were super bright. So I thought, well, maybe all this time we haven't had total power. Well, we didn't have any more problems. We didn't have any trouble. And everything worked except for my computer. So as you saw the little short video that's... Okay, that little wheelie is turning. The top is on, but not over there. That stuff isn't on. And down here along the side, that documents thing has got a strange outline around it. Now, let me see. If I go there, I get the what's it cursor. So let me come down here to iPhoto. And there. That's what's been happening. It won't do anything. They don't dance. They don't open. And if I come out here, then I get that wheelie guy. I think I have a haunted house. The computer doesn't want to be here. It just, the wheelie just went around and around and around and nothing happened. And that wheelie would go around for hours. So I called the Mac man in Moore, Oklahoma. And if you live in the Oklahoma City area and you have a Mac, this is a really great place to go to get work done on your Mac. Anyway, I called them, told them it was an emergency. They said, come right down. So I brought everything that I needed and I took it into them and they plugged it in. And you know what? Yes, it worked fine over there at their place. Every program opened, everything ran, nothing crashed. Yeah, typical, isn't it? I think my computer just wanted to go on a road trip. I don't know. So they sent me home. I brought the computer home, plugged it in, and let it go through its boot up and all of that stuff. Yeah. Got one program opened, and then the little wheelie, rainbow colored wheelie is going around and around, and nothing. Well, by now it's like 5 o'clock at night and they've already gone home. So the next morning I called the Mac man and said, it's doing it again. So this time, the first time I went, I didn't take my keyboard and I didn't take my mouse. But I did take my external hard drives. And everything worked the first time. So this time I took my power cord and I took my keyboard, just in case there was something wrong with either one of those. No. At the Mac man's shop, the computer worked like it didn't have any problems. So they said, because of this crazy power outage thing, you might have some residual electromagnetic stuff going on. So by now, I think it was Sunday. Anyway, the Mac man was not going to be open the next day, so it must have been Sunday. So I took my computer across the street. I took everything, my power cord and my keyboard and my computer. I took it across the street to my neighbor's house. They are evidently on a different power line than what I'm on. So we get it plugged in at his place. Nothing. The rainbow wheelie. So Monday, I called the Mac man and I said, okay, it's living with you until you find out what it is. So I took it up there, left it off, and they started going through it. They took it apart, they dusted it, cleaned it, vacuumed it out, did, whatever. I mean, like 2006, so 9 years of dust in there. They had a little bit of work to do. But they got it all cleaned up and checked everything, and they started checking my hard drive and found out that they had to defrag it. That it was in critical mass. It was in trouble. My poor hard drive's brain had been scrambled. So they had it for like 3 days getting that done. And then I brought it home and it's been working fine ever since. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So everything is working really good. And now I have the opportunity to make movies again and download them onto my computer and get them uploaded to YouTube. So anyway, all right, so that has been the trials and tribulations in my home for the last week. And I just thought maybe you would all like to know what kind of drama was happening over here on my end. So anyway, now you're up to date on what's happening and that everything is still going good. And I had some problems during that time. I had withdrawals. I felt like I couldn't do anything because I didn't have my camera. No, I had my camera, but I didn't have my computer, and I got a little depressed. I had myself a little pity party. I took out the decorations and everything. I was not very happy. So I said, one day I just said, all right, girl, put your big girl panties on and get over yourself. So I started making some things, started doing some things. Something to occupy my mind, get me in a better mood. Get me out of the dumps. Anyway, so, alright. That's where we are. That's what's happening. Sometimes life has a way of stepping in and saying, hello, I'm here. And we just need to deal with it the best that we can and know that at the end, everything will be back to normal again. And it's what happens in between times is what you'll either crash and burn, or you will chug along and survive. And I hope that you are among the chugging along and surviving. All right. So this is Leslie saying bye for now.